Hello, and after a long break, Horizon is finally, hopefully, back. And may the fourth be with you. Let's jump right in. So today, Trump's healthcare finally gets a vote. Now, I guess it's technically called the American Healthcare Act, but let's be honest, it's apparently Trump's. Not exactly what people who voted for him thought they were going to get. Pretty much anyone who's independent, congressional budget office, healthcare providers, healthcare just overall industry is against it. But I guess they just have the idea that hey, you hate Obamacare, so we'll give you something that you hate more. Yeah. Somehow I don't think that's what people wanted. But, hey, when you have so many things that are just all over the place now in that administration, you got Kushner apparently now in trouble for having this $1 billion deal with George Soros. You have kind of this very strange policy with, oh, we're going to fund a border wall, but we're not. We're going to have some sort of border security, even though that doesn't seem very clear. And then, maybe at some point they'll get a tax plan, but I mean, who knows? It doesn't really seem to be in much detail. So I guess they're trying to have this one check that they think in the win column, but to me, it just seems like it's going to be in the disaster column because I don't see how you have a bill that starts out so unpopular already that there doesn't seem to be a lot of excitement for, except maybe from the Republican leadership. I don't think it's going to survive very long, and probably is going to come back to haunt all of them. But hey, we'll see what happens. Now, North Korea. North Korea is also in the news because it seems that people just want to fight North Korea. North Korea wants to fight everyone. China has already been reported to be looking for Chinese Korean interpreters on the border. They've put 150,000 troops there. So I guess at some point they're expecting that administration is going to collapse or regime, whatever you want to call it. Now, whether that's going to be because the U.S. does something, or it's going to be just because maybe something's going on there, or China's just going to strangle them out. It does seem to be that it's moving more and more toward this collapse, and that the more and more rhetoric that North Korea puts out, the more concerned you would have to assume they are. So we'll see what happens with there. I would say that within the next 2 years, Kim Jong Un's regime will probably be gone. But again, people kept saying the same thing about his father. So I mean that family does have a very interesting way of sticking around. Moving in a completely different direction, France is finally voting for their new prime minister on Sunday. Now, this almost feels like at times it's turned into a U.S. style election where it's just been in the news, Marine Le Pen, Marine Le Pen, Marine. And now it's finally time to vote, and it just sort of seems that, she's kind of probably pissed off too many people. I don't see any real advantage of why she came out and said we're going to repeal gay marriage. I mean, to me, if you're just going to go already just eliminate such a huge part of the population and people who are like, I don't really care who people love, that to me just doesn't do yourself any favors. And I think as well with this argument about globalists versus not is that you didn't really seem to see her build a strong enough base or at least diversify away from her hardcore national front audience. And obviously that's changed a little bit, but I would assume that most of the people who did not vote for her or Mr. Macron are probably going to vote for Mr. Macron because it's either like you either already like her or you don't. It's not like I would imagine people are going to say, oh, well, I'm just going to do something radical and vote for Marine because I think they think Marine is a lot worse. And to me personally, I don't really see what Marine is offering to help France. I mean, I can understand, being against the EU. I think that's a perfectly reasonable argument. But to say that you're somehow going to align with Putin and China, and then it kind of seems like you're just going to say it's France versus the world, I don't really think that's what most French people, from my experience, are interested in. Now, there's arguments to say that, sure, French factory workers, French kind of manual laborers have certainly been taken advantage of, and the system has left them behind. Absolutely. But I think that by trying to almost just go so far off the deep end of, we need to make France strong, we just need France to fight everyone, you're just going to isolate a lot of people. And I don't see how she overcomes that, particularly after the most recent political debate, which happened this evening in France. It really seemed like Mr. Macron pulled ahead, is definitely on his way to winning, and it'll be interesting to see if something drastic happens. Certainly another terrorist attack there God forbid, would not help him and would probably help her, but it does seem like, okay, since that did happen once already, France is probably going to be very much on lockdown over this weekend, and hopefully everyone will stay safe. Hopefully that nothing goes wrong. So I guess we'll just see what happens, and I guess we'll know on Monday. And then finally, Tesla. Now, I just think this company is just very interesting because if they, suddenly went out of business within a year, I would not be surprised. If, they had severe financial regularities, I would not be surprised. I mean, their acquisition of Solar City is very shady. Still, their CFO, how he left is shady. The missing numbers and then like still struggling with production to reach these levels, and that, well, you're just betting on the future. Well, you're basically betting right now that every single possible thing is going to go right, and it's just very hard because it seems that so much of what comes out of Tesla is Elon Musk, and that's what people are investing in. But then Elon Musk now is like obsessed with his boring company and obsessed with probably something else in a year, and you kind of wonder, okay, is he stretching himself too thin when it seems there's very core issues that have not been solved every single one of the companies that he has. I mean, maybe you'll have a Jack Dorsey moment where it seems that, okay, yeah, it's a disaster, but somehow stuff is kind of coming together for him at Square and Twitter. But I don't know. I just think that there's just so much excitement around Tesla and people are just investing and believing in excitement and not actually something tangible. So, hey, we'll see. Hopefully, with a more regular schedule, Horizon will be able to keep you updated and let you know how the news of today affects your tomorrow. Have a good one.